Welcome to this episode on You Can Always Choose. In this episode, I would like to share with you where this idea came from, that we can always choose, how it's related with consciousness, what I believe that is difficult to choose, and how I imagine that this can enrich your life and the life of the beings around you. Hi. In this episode, I would like to share with you a little bit about having the choice. We can always choose, but what does that actually mean to me? And what triggered me to create this podcast episode? I will share that with you in a moment. So I was sitting with my family together, having dinner and talking about life. And what we've been doing now for, I actually don't know, maybe 2 years? Feels like 2 years. Is that every now and then is super beautiful. And I'm very, very grateful that my family, like my parents in this case, are open to these kind of experiences and this type of sharing. So we've been doing something which is called a check-in. And it starts with just closing your eyes, taking a couple of deep breaths, and arriving here in this moment. And then we just share, like, how are we arriving in this moment? Which, thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations are present, whatever is going on in our lives right now in this very moment. And in this dinner, my mother shared that there are multiple emotions present for her right now. And little background information for you is that I'm on my way to be moving to Portugal by the end of this year or beginning of next year. And my mother said that on one side, there's a lot of sadness present for her, that it's more difficult for me to be able to come by and visit them in the south of Germany, because Portugal in the south of Germany is just longer distance than from Berlin, where I've been living before, to the south of Germany. And she said that there's also a lot of gratitude present, that I'm here in this moment and that we get to share this dinner together, just these couple of hours that I'm there this time. And I found this so beautiful, and it touched me on such a deep level that I had this impulse that I would like to share this experience, but also this mindset or attitude that lies behind that in this episode. So something that I've actually been drinking with my mother's milk was hearing from her, especially, that we always have the choice. We always have the choice. You can always choose. And I find this very beautiful. I guess it's also limited to a certain way, because we can't choose if there's going to be a flood or not. So there are certain aspects of life that we can't control just by choosing. And there's a huge world of choices that we can make actively that have such a large effect and impact on our lives. Because if we're not aware of the multitude of experiences that we're having, we might be controlled by one of them. In this case of this dinner, for example, by the way, I'm not saying that any of these feelings are good or bad. I'm not saying that feeling sad is bad. Not at all. What I want to say is that my mother could have been running this story that, it's so sad that, such a pity that we just have a couple of hours, and then I've been moving to Portugal, and then we want to see each other again, and la 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 la. And it could have been escalating a lot, and could have put a filter over her experience of this moment and of the entire time that we're together, that she would be constantly in the future with worries and sadness, rather than in the moment with gratitude, joy, and appreciation there. In this moment, we're together. So sometimes people ask me, why do you work on your consciousness, or why is it important for you to develop your consciousness? And this is for me one very concrete example, that if I'm not conscious, it can lead to a way of, okay, I'm just being dragged by my thoughts and worries into the future, and which prevents me from enjoying and celebrating this moment, which is happening right now. So working on consciousness, maybe a different verb comes to me, which doesn't feel so hard, like it's labor. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But developing your consciousness has this amazing benefit of it gives you choice. So you can choose then, while experiencing, okay, there's sadness and there's gratitude. With which of these emotions do I want to connect more right now? And neither of the ways are good or bad. It's just you can choose, rather than being governed unconsciously by one of the choices and being not aware that there are many other ways as well. As I said, you can't choose everything. If there's a catastrophe, if there's a flood, you can choose to not have the flood. And for me, one very important aspect in all of this is also accepting what's there. So if there's sadness there, that's just what's there. If there's gratitude there, that's what's present. If that's not, also fine. So I don't want to promote spiritual bypassing by that. I mean, like, all unpleasant feelings are bad, let's just be happy all the time. Don't want to say that. I just want to say that we can make conscious choices. And conscious choices can include, for example, with which emotion do I want to connect more if there are several of these present. You can name all of them, of course. Having choice through consciousness also means, what do I want to share right now? What would I like to do right now? Which needs am I connected in this very moment? How do I want to spend my time? What is quality time for me? I love having a lot of consciousness and awareness, and I'm aware that this also brings more and more challenges, because the more you see, the more you experience, the more there is to choose from, and the more there is to deal with. And sometimes it's also easier not to feel and see everything. And I also don't want to create like a hierarchy of good and developed conscious beings and bad and underdeveloped, not conscious, unconscious beings. I also don't want to do that, because it happens so quickly, and often also in some context that I'm in retreats and trainings and all this kind of stuff, is that there's like, it's like this sense of superiority that comes with it. It's like, oh, we are super conscious and the others are not, so we're better than the others. And then that creates separation again. So I want to invite like this consciousness, awareness, that comes also with a sense and desire and longing to be in connection with one another and to support one another in our growth. So for me, this is a very important skill and quality to develop already from an early age on. Not to say that we need to go into our head and become super heady beings. Consciousness and presence for me comes a lot with being in our bodies and being connected to our sensations, being able to soak up in a differentiated way the experiences that we're having in our own system, which also can inform our decision making, not just from our head, but from our entire body. And it's a high degree of intelligence for me to be connected, embodied, and present. Social intelligence, somatic intelligence, emotional intelligence. And all of this gives us choice through awareness. And yeah, as you can tell, I'm super excited about that. So I'm really curious also to hear from you what your experience is and how you see this topic of having choice, not in everything, but through our consciousness, being able to see more than just like a on-off, black and white duality awareness, but being able to see a spectrum, being able to see that there's more in between, that of different shades and colors and aspects of life, which we can soak up and enjoy, that can enrich our lives actually in such a deep way if we're connected to this awareness and consciousness. All right. Sound a little bit like a motivational speech to me right now. Maybe it did motivate you. Maybe it inspired you. Maybe it didn't. Let me know. I'm above all very, very grateful actually that I get to share what's true for me with the world, that you are listening to this right now fulfills me with so much purpose and connection to you, to myself, to the world. So whatever it is that you take from that, make your own version out of that, find your truth, and feel you. Looking forward to connecting with you in the next episode of Essence.